Running a Mac or running a Linux computer, do refer to the separate videos in this section of the course, and that's because the process of downloading and installing Python is slightly different for those platforms. But if you run Windows, follow along in this video. So the first thing to do is go to python.org, python.org, and once you get there, you can move your mouse down to downloads and you can see a little pop-up window came up. I can come over here and select what is the latest version. And you can see currently it's showing Python 3.6.2. So I'm going to click that. Then I'm going to actually save this. And while that's downloading, although that shouldn't take long, I just want to mention that you probably don't want, or you certainly don't want to download Python 2. In this course, we're going to be going through and using Python 3. But do keep in mind that we'll talk a little bit from time to time about the older version Python. But in general, we definitely want you to download and use Python 3 because that's what the majority of the course is. And of course, it's the most recent version. All right, so down the bottom, you can see that's now finished downloading. So I'm going to click on Run. Now you get this little option that'll pop up and it gives you the directory where it's going to install the files. You can choose a custom installation. You don't really need to do that. The only thing you really need to do here is just click on this little checkbox. Very important that you do that to add Python 3.6 to path. So that's been checked and I can come up here and click on install now, noting that it's actually installing it there in my local app data folder. So I'm going to click on install now. You didn't see that most likely, but there's a little pop-up that came up and said I had to click on yes to allow it to continue installing. So I clicked on that and it's now going through the process. It's a fairly fast process, so it won't take too long to finish. Alright, so at this point you can see that it's actually now finished and successfully installed. And we can just click on close. We can ignore this disable path length limit. We don't need to worry about that. Click on close, and what we want to do now is just verify that Python has been correctly installed and that we can access it. And one quick way to do that is to come over here and click on your Windows icon, right click it and select run. That should work on most versions of Windows, but just make sure that you get this option to run. Then type in that little window, or the little field I should say, CMD, which is an abbreviation for command. Press enter. That opens up a command window, and if we just type in Python now, Python, press enter, you can see in my case it's came up and said Python 3.6.2. So that's a visual confirmation that Python has been successfully installed. Now I'm going to exit out of this by typing exit, then left and right parentheses, press enter. Now if you happen to type Python but you got something like this, and I'm just going to type an incorrect command. So if you type Python and you got Python is not recognized as an internal or external command, two things probably, or one of two things may have occurred. Firstly, you may not have clicked on that add to path, which was on that first checkbox that came up when we were installing Python. And secondly, you may need to reboot your computer for the change to take effect. So first things first would be to reboot and see and go back into the command window and see whether that fixes the problem. If that doesn't fix it, you might want to go through the process of uninstalling and reinstalling Python and making sure that this time you click on that add to path checkbox to make sure that's ticked, and you should find in most cases that will fix the problem. Alright, so I'm going to type exit there to close down the command window. And at this point we're now done. So we're done with the installation of Python and we can move on to the next video.